Okay, in this video you'll see my dog Nero. He's a Belgian Shepherd dog, also known as a Malinois, and we're doing obedience, but primarily focusing on healing and how we incorporate training into our daily programs. So here is our daily feeding time. Nero eats every day, obviously like most dogs do, so I use that time to use for training. So I just get his food and I put it in a cup or a bowl, and I use little handfuls at a time as his reward. So here you see me working sit, down, stand, and heel. I lured him into a heel position, prior to this video. So he has a couple of days of being lured into a heel position, and then eventually I put it on command. But here you see us working it in our daily routine. There I just gave him a command, he gets into it, and a lot of people say, but he's not in the proper heel positioning. In the beginning phases, I don't mind rewarding a dog if they're not in the proper positioning, as long as they're showing that they're trying. Now for sits and downs, those are pretty snapshotable positions. So that as soon as they sit and you say yes and you reward it, they know exactly what a sit is. Now a heel is a little different because they have to be 90-degree angles with your body. So if their butt is too far left or too far right, that's not the correct positioning. But if you wait for them to be perfect every time, some dogs will lose motivation to do it because they don't understand exactly what you're wanting, and they don't know that their butt is just a few inches off. So here I demand at least an attempt, and once they attempt and they do it, I feed. Now if they're just really not motivated, then obviously I won't. But you see here he's highly motivated. I say Foos, which is the German word for heel, and he tries, so I reward that. Now as he progresses, I'll demand more and more perfection. Like here he's perfect in position, that's good. But notice how I'm using this time for him to get his daily feeding, to get his obedience, which is very important, but I'm making it fun for him and rewarding for him with engaging me and everything else. Now, the next step would be to create that muscle memory to get him in the right positioning as well as developing that focus. So we go from this type of training to this next clip here where you see Ashley from Elite House using a bench to put him in the right positioning. Now, if he's 1 inch off or 1 inch over, he's going to fall off or he's going to be very uncomfortable. So this forces him to have to sit in the right positioning, and she just stands there and waits for him to look at her, and then she rewards. This creates that focus that you see in a lot of sports dogs, and it creates muscle memory. So he knows now that he has to sit still, he has to focus on her to get that reward. And if he does get off bounce a little bit, she'll use the food to lure him in the right positioning and then hold on. So the previous video you see him starting to learn what the heel command is, and then now you see him slowly starting to understand what the heel positioning is. And then later on we use this. But notice there's no corrections, there's nothing. It's just simply using motivation for food and play to put him in the right positioning. See, like wherever he looked at last time, he got off balance a little bit, so she used the food to get him right back in that correct positioning, and there you go. So now we go from that, he knows what position he has to be in. Now we have to kind of put it in action. We have to get him moving. And this video is just showing how to put it in your daily training routines. So I hope everybody has a house. I hope everybody at least has a couch or 4 walls. Notice she kind of walks around and she feeds him, but she just kind of uses the couches to keep him parallel. So the couches are a barrier. Doesn't allow him to move too far left or too far right. So she kind of lures him, feeds him little by little to keep him moving forward instead of bolting off. And then she moves and uses the couches as those angles to keep him from moving. Now you can use walls. You can go outside and use the outside of your house. You can use a fence row. Anything that is a foundation where the dog can't go too far left or too far right. But here she just simply walks in circles and uses her body and the couches to keep the dog in positioning. So this is how we progress through training, and then once we have a good foundation, we start adding distractions and we move the dog to the training fields out to the kennel. So it's real simple. I mean, I hate healing. It's the worst thing to me. But this is how we do it. We incorporate it in our daily training, our daily routine, and then we start demanding more and more of the dog. And after this training session, we usually play a good game of tug or something that's really rewarding to the dog, because obedience is not fun for a dog. It really isn't. So we do food to motivate the dog, but then to really finalize it in their brain, we play. Now Nero, he isn't a good biter. He never really been on a tug before, but he loves the engagement. So here, I'm not only just really playing with him to really say, hey, every time we do obedience that I really don't like, we play that I really do like. But also, I use that time to start training them for bite work. So it's a twofold process here. So train your dog, incorporate it into your daily routine, and just go from there. So if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to email me. My email's coming up here in a second. But just have fun, and feel free to send us a message or an email and let us know what you think.